What is going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us here on the Mission Ready Men podcast on the SHR Media Network. Today is Thursday, December 12th, and there is so much going on. I sometimes have a hard time preparing for the show and figuring out uh, what to include, what to leave out. It's like drinking from a fire hose. I know I've said that before, but it's true. So we do have some things to discuss, like the fallout from uh, Brian Thompson's killer's arrest, fallout from the Daniel Penny verdict, Nancy Mace getting attacked by gender deluded activists, and a lot more. Um, but before we tackle all of that, please go ahead and hit the like button. Like, subscribe, share these videos, share this episode, because the more you like and share, the more people we reach. And the more people we reach, the wider the message can get out. And despite Trump's win, despite Zuckerberg donating $1 million to Trump, the big tech tyrants are still trying to suppress, not trying to suppress, they are suppressing our content. And so thank you for joining us here on Mission Ready Men and the SHR Media Network. And on the network, you can catch all the other great shows like The Edge of Liberty with Sackhead Sean, who's on Mondays and Fridays. The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe, who's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, who's on, I believe, Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. And he does a lot of other specials when it warrants it. So check them all out. We would really appreciate you liking and following all of our content on all the various platforms. And you can follow us, Mission Ready Men, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Truth Social. And for our merch, head over to missionreadymen.com, click on shop, and check out all of our great designs there. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get after it. And like I said, I have a hard time preparing sometimes for what I'm going to say on the show. And this morning I got up and found out that Time Magazine named Trump their Person of the Year. I got to say, I was shocked. I did not expect it. When I saw the names on the short list, like Kate Middleton, Joe Rogan, Kamala Harris, Claudia Sheinbaum, who is the newly elected president of Mexico, the first female president of Mexico. Elon Musk, I didn't think he had a shot. Yulia Navalny, who is the wife, I believe, of Russia's main dissident, Alexei Navalny, who was killed by Putin. Benjamin Netanyahu, never thought he had a shot. And Jerome Powell, for some reason. I don't understand why he was even on the short list. But given all those names, I figured it was either going to be Claudia Sheinbaum. She was the one I actually really expected, or Kamala Harris, despite the fact that she got she got smoked in this past election. But congratulations to President-elect Trump for being Time's Person of the Year. I don't know if you caught his speech at the New York Stock Exchange this morning, where he talked about it, but it was typical Trump. I don't have any clips of it right now, but maybe we'll play some later if time permits. But yeah, congratulations to President Trump. That was a shock. So that was just something that I just added into the show because I thought it was relevant. But one of the main topics I wanted to discuss was the fallout and some of the questions that we have on United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's killer, his arrest, and some of the things that have been going on there. he was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The killer. I don't like saying these killers' names, even though his name is plastered everywhere right now. But the killer, he was arrested in Pennsylvania, and the questions surrounding it are it's baffling that he was so methodical, so calm, so I mean, in the beginning, people thought it was a professional hit. I didn't think so, but the fact that he was so calm, he was so uh, able to escape the area and get and be without being detected. It's crazy to think about how he days later shows up at a random McDonald's in Pennsylvania, and all of a sudden he's noticed and locked up. It really doesn't track with somebody who was so methodical and so um, and planned this thing so meticulously, or at least somewhat meticulously, to be able to evade capture for so long. 5 days. I mean, it's not like it was that long, but you get my point. And then to just show up at a McDonald's and get arrested, it's mind blowing. And then come to find out, not come to find out, but as he was being transferred, he's saying things like it's a setup. His arrest is an insult to the intelligence of Americans and stuff like that. So he could be setting up an insanity defense, but it could be that he's just nuts. It could be that he did this and he's just trying to set up an insanity defense of some kind. It also could be that there's more to the story than we know, because we don't know anything. We know more about this guy right now than we know about some other killers, and there are similar questions around this guy as there are around the attempted assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania, the guy who tried to kill Trump. And so I don't know. A lot of people are saying that it's a setup. A lot of people are saying that this has the fingerprints of some covert operations and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or the other what I think, because I have no idea. We're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out, what kind of answers we get, and things of that nature. But one thing that does bother me is how much we do know about this guy. I know I said there are questions around similar questions around him as there are around the attempted assassin of Trump, but we also do know a lot. We know a lot more about this guy and his family connections to some prominent people in the United States, such as Nancy Pelosi. And I want to share this with you because I think this is pretty interesting. And I'm not going to read this entire thing because it's a lot. But there has been a connection discovered between this guy and Nancy Pelosi. There was a cyber attack on United Health Group in 2024, which coincided with a $4 million investment in Palo Alto, which investigated the breach by Paul and Nancy Pelosi. His murder happened shortly before he was set to testify in a DOJ case that would have implicated Nancy Pelosi in insider trading. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but Nancy Pelosi's family was a very prominent family in Maryland, where this killer's family is also from. And so their family connections go way back. And there have been rumors of Nancy Pelosi's family being involved in some less than savory activities having to do with Italian crime families. We'll put it that way. So there's that. And like I mentioned, Nicholas Mangione, the killer's grandfather, had ties to Nancy Pelosi's father. Like I said, raising questions about their connection. So there's a lot going on here, and we really don't know. I don't know what to think, because there is so much that we don't know, and that based on past practice, I don't know how much we're ever really going to find out. But I did say that we do know something about this guy, and that is that he had a manifesto on him, which has been released. So we know about his rantings and ravings about the healthcare system, but he's been in jail for 5 minutes, and we have that information. But the killer at the Christian school in Nashville, and I'm not going to say her name either, but that killer, we still don't have that manifesto. That was years ago. We know there was a manifesto. Some pages got leaked. The cops who leaked those pages were fired. But we still don't have any of those writings. But this guy's entire manifesto has been released. Why? Well, I think we know why, but it's just infuriating that they're picking and choosing what information is good for us to have and what isn't. And it like I said, it's infuriating. And one of the other things that people have been saying since Trump got elected, that the world is healing itself. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that because only God is going to heal this world. Only God is able to heal this world. It's not going to heal itself, especially at the hands of the people who are involved, because the people are not going to be able to heal themselves. So there's that. But then we have people like this who, for some reason, we know why, because they're just evil people. And I mentioned this in the last show we did, and I wasn't gonna play it, but now I feel like I have to, because this is just so evil and so egregious, and goes against that narrative that that the world is healing itself. Because a world healing itself, if such a thing existed, would not allow this. This wouldn't be happening. Listen to this
characterization of what you said, and inferring that you were feeling joyful about what had happened to this guy. So we've got the clip, and we'll just play it back just to remind you.
Mm-hmm. I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Yes, she said joy, and she's about to try and walk it back, but she is woefully unsuccessful in doing so.
Joy in
I
a
guess I would
man's
say
execution?
maybe not joy,
Again,
but certainly
no,
not.
this is
No,
what I said.
certainly not empathy. This is literally.
So you felt joy. You
I'm
felt
so
joy.
glad that you played that clip, because you'll see that I didn't
And
say
then she
that I
said
felt
she
joy in the
misspoke
man's
and
death.
clarified.
Oh.
And I did.
And this guy, Mark Lamont Hill. Look at that face. That is the face of a demon. I mean, I've been following politics for a long time. I've known about this guy for a long time. And he has been slowly deteriorating. And if you look at pictures of him from a few years ago, and that, oh my goodness, it's remarkable. But he's not the only demon on that panel, because Taylor Lorenz, that's the woman with the dark hair. She expressed joy at Brian Thompson's murder. And she expressed support for. There were a lot of videos circulating, talking about how they were happy that he was dead and all that stuff. And she was supporting him. That's where this comes from. And she's just she's another demon.
Didn't say
You
that
don't
I
think,
felt
Mark,
joy in
it was
that
more
man's
that she
death.
wished she hadn't said she felt joy, because
No,
she suddenly realized how
Pierce,
bad it
why
sounded?
don't you listen to that clip again? Because I don't say that I feel joy in the man's death. I said I feel joy because, and that's exactly when you cut me off. And if you let me finish, I would say I feel joy.
Bullshit.
Oh, bullshit, Pierce! You don't.
No,
you don't know what was in my
that's
head,
not.
Pierce.
That's not. She's right. She's right, Pierce.
Bullshit.
No, she's not, because I watched that entire panel, that entire show, and that is not what she said.
She actually said, "I feel joy," and then you interrupted her there. Perhaps I don't know what she was going to say, but she certainly didn't get a chance to finish.
Well,
finish
the viewers
thought.
can watch the whole thing in the right context.
And you
We
may
don't
not
censor
realize
things.
this, but
we don't
that's
censor things here. Mark, I don't know why you're going out of your way to defend her, mate. Because Taylor, let's be honest, you know what you said. You wish you hadn't said it.
Truth.
Let me give Taylor an opportunity. Would you like to apologize for using the word joy?
Again, if you take the word joy completely out of
It
context from the
wasn't
word
taken
that
out
I
of
said
context. Would you like
it
to?
was because
Would you like to
I'm so glad
apologize?
you
Yes
just
or
played
no?
the clip.
Yes or no?
You just played the clip that
Anyway,
showed.
that's enough of that. She's just a world healing itself doesn't do that. Those people would not have felt comfortable enough to express joy at somebody's death. So it's I generally don't take pleasure in people losing jobs and things like that. But she was fired from VOX, not Fox, where she had I think she had some sort of podcast and a column that she wrote, and they parted ways after this happened. Good. She should never be allowed on TV ever again. But of course she will be, because she's a hero to the left for some unimaginable reason. I do not understand why she still gets the clicks and the notoriety that she does. And I mean, it's not like she's that popular. This is the woman who she doxed Shia Raichik, the one who operates Libs of TikTok, and I use a lot of Libs of TikTok content when I'm doing the show. Shia Raichik is now more popular and more powerful than she ever was before Taylor Lorenz tried to dox her. So good, just unbelievable. All right, I want to talk about this for a second before we get to one of our sponsors. But Daniel Penny, we talked about it before. He has been found not guilty, and he's actually done an interview. I didn't think he was going to, because he's been so quiet throughout this entire process. But he did an interview with Judge Janine, and I thought it was I didn't watch the whole thing. I've seen a few clips here and there, but he did an interview, and it's just remarkable how people have this, not smart people and not rational people, but a lot of people have this notion that he's somehow this racist who attacked Jordan Neely on the train simply for being Black and simply for being loud and obnoxious. Nothing could be further from the truth, obviously, because he was found not guilty. But check out this clip from the interview that he did on Fox Nation with Judge Jeanine. If I can find it. Where did it go? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. All right.
I'm not a confrontational person. I don't extend myself. And like this type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable. And I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. Mm-hmm. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed. I mean,
what a racist. What a racist. What a raging KKK. He's probably got a hood in it. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. He is a soft-spoken guy who stood up to do the right thing. And he's a hero. 100% a hero. And one of the other, well, I mentioned in the last show that I wasn't sure about his religious background, wasn't sure about his about what his faith life was like. And I want to show you something, because he actually has a tattoo, and I actually don't have the picture of him with the tattoo, unfortunately. I don't know what happened there, but I do have, and it was kind of hard to see anyway, so maybe this is better. But he actually has a picture of has a tattoo of a depiction of a religious a biblical story, and I want to show it to you guys now that I have it up. He has a picture of this. That is a depiction of Samson killing a lion from, I believe that's Judges 14. But yeah, he has that tattoo on his chest and arm. So when you think about what Daniel Penny did, I think he came at it from a biblical perspective. I think he looked at his responsibility as a man and stepped up and did what he had to do. As far as I'm concerned, the man's a hero. And there isn't any evidence to suggest that he's in any way a racist. There isn't any evidence to suggest that he in any way set out to kill Jordan Neely. And so it's unfortunate that he has to go through this, and he's going to have to leave New York without a doubt, because when you got people like Hawk Newsom and all the BLM activists who are railing against him and things like that, he's going to have to get out of New York. He's so easily recognized. There's no way he can stay in New York and have a peaceful life. So I'm praying for him that he moves somewhere where he's appreciated as for being the hero that he is. You know what I mean? But on the flip side of that, on the flip side of Daniel Penny being a hero, we have people who are decidedly not heroic in any way, shape, or form. We have idiots like squad members, Jamal Bowman, who was voted out, thankfully, Ayanna Pressley, who was unfortunately not voted out. But you know what? Just take a look at this and you'll see. Ayanna Pressley is at the forefront of a call for Biden to commute the sentences of death row inmates because of systemic racism. Now, one of the other things that happened after I finished preparing for the show was that Biden just provided clemency for 1,500 people. I don't have the details on what those offenses from some of those people were and things like that, but this is classic leftist. This is a classic agenda from the left. They want him to commute sentences of death row. What you have to do to get put on death row is, unless there is DNA evidence or video evidence of some kind that surfaces that proves that people on death row did not commit the crimes for which they're accused, there is no clemency. There should be no clemency. You committed a crime heinous enough to get put on death row, unless there is clear, unequivocal evidence that you did not commit that crime. There is absolutely no reason to even suggest commuting a sentence of somebody on death row or pardoning them altogether. But yet, you have idiots like Ayanna Pressley and, as I mentioned before, Jamal Bowman. And this guy, I have no idea how he got elected in the first place. And just to jog your memory, Jamal Bowman is the guy who pulled a fire alarm in order to stop a vote on the House floor, which is a crime. And his excuse for that, I can't remember exactly what it was, but his excuse for that was absolutely ridiculous. But here he is articulating what I just told you.
Stop it, Hunter Biden.
Thank you.
Pardon the 40 people who are on death row right now to get them off of death row. Number one. Number two, pardon the 3,000 people who are in federal jail for trumped up marijuana charges. Pardon them as well so they can get back to their communities and contribute to their economies. That's what the president. Don't stop at Hunter Biden.
Thank you.
Biden pardoning Hunter opened up the floodgates for nonsense like this. Pardon death row inmates. Now, I'm willing to listen to arguments about releasing people who are in jail for. I don't think anybody's in jail on federal charges for marijuana possession, but I'm willing to listen to arguments for releasing people who are in jail for non-violent drug offenses, possession offenses, things like that. I can listen to that, but death row, come on, man. That's just asinine. But then coming from somebody like Jamal Bowman, I mean, I think you have to expect something like that. And we I was going to make a joke about him with regard to the next story that we're going to talk about, but before we I'm just going to let that go and get into this word from our sponsor before we move on to the next story, because that probably would have been somewhat unnecessary. Anyway, the word from our sponsor this week is or today, shouldn't say this week. Today is My Freedom Beef, and with everything that's going on with our food supply these days, it's scary what they're doing to our food. And now that we have Bobby Kennedy coming in as HHS secretary, maybe some of those scary things will change. But we know what's in My Freedom Beef. It's only the good stuff. 100% Angus cattle beef, and not just certified. The beef from My Freedom Beef has no antibiotics, no hormones, and absolutely no mRNA vaccines. They are raised in a pasture and grass-fed. There are other beef options, beef subscription options out there. Butcher Box, Omaha Steaks, Chicago Steak Company. But none of them can say that they are Patriot-owned with superior 100% Black Angus genetics that everyone deserves to be able to afford to feed their family with meat they can trust. So check out My Freedom Beef and see why 20,000 Patriots a month are switching their shopping. Check out myfreedombeef.com/Jackson to get the finest beef in America sent to your door at unbeatable prices. Okay, this next story, it's actually old. It's actually from, I think, 2019. But the picture from the story is making the rounds on social media again for some reason. I don't know why. I really have no idea why. But it's you know what? Just take a look at this, and then we'll get into it. Okay. There we go. I don't know what happened there. But look, it's men's cuddling group aimed to redefine masculinity and heal trauma. And this is the picture that you see on your screen right now that has been circulating again on social media. And they're all homosexuals, every last one of them. It's really not funny, but twice a month, half a dozen men gather in Plymouth meeting to help each other work through past traumas. Their chosen method of healing, cuddles. It may seem odd, this story says, It's not odd. It's gay. But the men's therapeutic cuddle group say the practice has helped them cope with everything from childhood sexual abuse to the loss of family members when they were young. Okay. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is not. This is an excuse to act out some homosexual fantasies, honestly, because the most contact a man wants to have with another man is just to give him a quick bro hug. You know what I mean? Shake hands. Cuddling it. This is stupid. This is ridiculous, and this is gay. And I'm actually going to bring it back to biblical principles, because the Bible says in Leviticus 18:22, you shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. And I know that that's unpopular for a lot of people, but too bad, because that's what the Bible says. And that's what this is. This is men lying with other men. Now, I did go down, when I started to look at this, I went down a rabbit hole that I advise you not go down, because it's a disgusting rabbit hole. And while this particular group and this story may not have a sexual component to it, a lot of them do. A lot of them do. And these guys claim, even though they're engaging in this behavior, to be straight. Well, they're not. They're gay. They're homosexual. And all this is, you know what? These guys who think that they're straight and engaging in this type of behavior are probably the low T Kamala Harris voters, quite frankly. Guys with normal testosterone this would not appeal to them in any way. If they have any sort of trauma that they need to heal from, straight men will go to a therapist, and what they need to do, frankly, is go to church and start reading the Bible and talking to God about it. But aside from that, if they're not either willing or nobody's approached them about going that route, they'll go to a therapist, or they'll just deal with it. But they're not going to deal with it by rubbing up on some other dude. And I really, this is another reason why people who think that the world is healing itself, why I have to disagree with that. And if we're going to talk about other reasons, other evidence that the world is not healing itself, I saw this story about a young woman who is on the OF site and decided to pull this stunt where she would have sex with 100 guys in a day. And the first story I saw about it, she was upset. She did it, and then apparently kind of felt bad about herself for doing it. And there's an actual documentary, another rabbit hole I went down, another documentary that she agreed to do about this. And I just want to share with you a couple of clips from this documentary, and then we'll talk about them. But here's the first one. And actually,
I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by the, I think like the 30th, you know, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're going to do this.
by the
And like
30th,
it just,
she said.
sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal things at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember. And that's it.
How sad is that? I mean, wow.
But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know. But yeah, I think that was kind of the hard part, is like conversing with them, and like when they'd kind of be like, oh, like we've only had 2 minutes or 3 minutes and you said 5.
And look how upset she is recounting this story. It's obviously, she obviously regrets this. She obviously regrets this, and it's sad that OF site that promotes this type of behavior is doing this to these girls.
5 on the message.
Did someone say that to you?
Yeah. And obviously it just makes me feel so bad.
Do you think you should feel bad about that?
I guess when you've promised something to people who support you, it's kind of hard to let them down.
But it's up to you, right? Like when you know.
All right, that's enough of that one. And one of the things about this OF site, it promotes this idea that it's somehow empowering for women to engage in this type of behavior and get paid for it. Now, the average, there are some women on this site who make millions of dollars. I think there's maybe 6 or 7 that make a ton of money doing this stuff. If you take those women out, I think the average, even including them, I think is like $150 a day or something like that. You take those women who make in the millions, you take those women out of the equation, and everyone else who's on this site is doing this for pennies a day, degrading themselves to this degree for pennies a day. It's just sad. And when I first saw this, I really felt bad for this woman, because she's obviously broken up about it. She's obviously regretting it. And there's another clip that that I want to show you, and it's not as long or as bad as that one. But this one is also demonstrates just how traumatizing, just how damaging this is to these people.
Last time you ate?
I think I had a yam yam, and I think I had a sandwich, and that was kind of, and then the rest. It's not for the weak, girls. If I'm honest, it was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very like, it's kind of like being a prostitute in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
she can't even get the words out.
It's not like just having sex with someone.
Yeah. Just one in, one out. Like, it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
That was sad. And like I said before, I genuinely felt bad for this woman, and I pray for her. I hope that she realizes what she's doing to herself. But, and I don't have the clip in front of me, but apparently, about a week after this documentary was completed, she posted something on X saying that she was about to embark on another adventure where she was going to set the world record for having sex with men, and she was going for 1,000. And I kind of stopped feeling bad for her after that, because for whatever, I shouldn't say that. I do still feel bad for her, because for whatever feeling she had after this first stunt, there's something wrong with her where she feels like she has to do this again and again and again. And it's sad. It's really sad. And she needs our prayers, because the road she's going down is not a good one. All right. That's enough of that. Not that this next story is going to be uplifting in any real way, but we have drones flying over New Jersey and the East Coast, and we really have no idea what this is. Jeff Van Drew was in an interview on Fox where he said that this was an Iranian plot, that there was an Iranian mothership in the Atlantic where these drones were coming from. I don't know that I believe that, because even though we gave them $6 billion, they've been spending that money in Syria. And I don't know if I'm going to get back to that. I wanted to, but I may not. But they've been spending that money in Syria and Gaza, attacking Israel and building up their nuclear program. I don't think they have the technology to do this. If they do, I mean, that's all the more reason why we should have never given them $6 billion. But I don't think it's them. If it is them, they're in collaboration with another adversary of ours. Another theory is that it's China sending a message. And that's more plausible to me, because China has been developing this type of technology. We've been developing all these fighter planes and stealth bombers and things like that. And they've been investing in developing this drone technology. And we're way behind on that. We're way behind on that. And there are other foreign adversaries that it could be. It's probably a joint operation between some of these adversaries of ours. And when you consider the fact that it wasn't that long ago that Russia had submarines right off the coast of Florida, China has been flying balloons over our sensitive areas with no retaliation, with no consequences whatsoever from this administration. Is it really surprising now that they're flying a fleet of drones over our East Coast? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I mean, January 20th can't get here fast enough, because I think Trump, with Hegseth as SecDef and Tulsi Gabbard as our DNI, I think they will put a stop to this with quickness. At least I'm believing that, because we can't have this. We can't have foreign adversaries just with impunity, flying drones and balloons over our country with no consequences. We're not shooting them down. We're not retaliating in their airspace. We're not doing anything. We're just letting it happen. And I think that Hegseth and Gabbard and our other intelligence agencies and apparatus will put a stop to this under the Trump administration. All right, I'm running out of time again, and I wanted to talk about this because this story is it's been going on for a long time, and it was bound to reach this pitch at some point. Well, I mean, it kind of already has in a lot of respects, because Nancy Mace was attacked by, at first I thought it was an actual gender deluded person, and we haven't seen a picture of the attacker yet, so maybe they were, but they're going by the name of James, so it's probably just some gender deluded activist who felt the need to attack Nancy Mace because she dared to question and stand up against dudes being in women's spaces. And she was, this story says she was attacked by a pro-trans man. I don't know what that means, honestly. But Capitol Police arrested 33-year-old James McIntyre of Illinois after he allegedly assaulted Representative Nancy Mace on Tuesday. McIntyre is facing a charge for assaulting a government official, according to Capitol Police. Did anyone not think something like this would happen? I mean, these people have shown absolutely, well, I mean, I talked about it before. You had the trans gender deluded person in Nashville who shot up the Christian school and killed 3 children and 3 adults. Did we really think that something like this wouldn't happen if somebody decided they were going to step up and say, no, this is not going to happen. We're not going to allow this. I'm genuinely not surprised at all. And of course, some people are out there saying that Nancy Mace brought this on herself. I think I saw somebody say that it was fake and didn't happen. But I mean, we have the Capitol Police and arrest reports and things like that. So I don't think she would do that anyway. But this is not only bound to happen, but it's going to happen again to anyone who decides that they're going to stand up and not allow these mentally disturbed individuals into women's spaces. All right. There's one final thing I want to get to. Well, there's a couple other things I wanted to get to, but I don't think I'm going to have time. So I just want to touch on this real quick. And we're all very happy that Daniel Penny was found not guilty. We're all very happy about that. But there's another story out of New York that we need to talk about. And I've talked about it before, and I should have been talking about it more often since the last time I did. But this is the story of Dexter Taylor. And Dexter Taylor was arrested in New York a few years ago, or last year, because he is a Second Amendment enthusiast. He's a gun enthusiast, and he was building firearms in his home in New York. And he is now serving 10 years in prison just because he wanted to build his own firearms. And the ridiculous, well, there's a lot ridiculous about this story, but the judge wouldn't allow the Second Amendment to be mentioned in his trial. Well, if you don't mention the Second Amendment when it comes to firearms, then especially when there were no crimes committed, these firearms were locked up in his home, firearms that he built, but because they are so-called ghost guns and not registered, they decided to lock him up. And I'm going to have a link to his GoFundMe in the show notes, as well as a link to the story where you can actually read in detail exactly what transpired, because he does not belong in jail. He committed no crimes. He was not a violent person. I believe he was a software developer who just had an enthusiasm for firearms and was building them as a hobby in his home. He wasn't selling them. And so somebody who had a grudge against them decided to tip off the authorities, and they raided his home. SWAT raided his home. And he got 10 years for gunsmithing. So I encourage you to read these stories and check out his GoFundMe. Donate if you can. I know times are tough right now. Believe me, I know times are tough right now. But he deserves our support, and we need to start a social media campaign to try and get this man out of prison, because this is ridiculous. So check out. Well, like I said, I'll have a link to the stories and the GoFundMe in the show notes, and let's try and bring this story back into the forefront, because he does, like I said, he doesn't deserve to be in prison. All right, that is it. That's all I got for you this time. I will try to do better on the next one. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe, share these videos, share this content, so we can continue to spread the message of liberty and the gospel of Jesus Christ, so that we can spread it to as many people as possible, so that we can preserve it for our future generations. And if you like this shirt I'm wearing, We the People, head over to missionreadymen.com, shop 7 Armors, and check out all the other cool designs that we have that show messages of faith and patriotism. All right, as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.